Ja, och då byter vi över till engelska because now we are welcoming Clean Industry Solutions and CEO Christian Zahler. So I'm saying welcome to you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for the warm welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be able to participate in this event, even though it's just with Zoom via internet. But anyway, I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to tell you who we are, what we do, and why we do it, and what we want to do in the future. If you have seen one of my presentations earlier, for example, from the event in November last year, you probably remember a different company name, not Clean Industry Solutions. Earlier, we had the company name Industrial Solar Holding Europe AB, and we decided to change this name earlier this year to Clean Industry Solutions. And the background of this name change was that the holding acquired a second subsidiary, namely Solar Spring, and the name did no longer match the business model. So as of now, we have the current situation. Clean Industry Solutions owns 100% of Industrial Solar GmbH and owns 100% of Solar Spring GmbH. Both companies are located in Freiburg in the Black Forest. And Clean Industry Solutions is basically an investment company that invests in companies that provide solutions for a sustainable industry and a circular economy. It's not operative, not in Sweden, not in any other countries. It's a financial company. Operative are the subsidiaries, Industrial Solar and Solar Spring. And Industrial Solar is a specialist for renewable energy solutions, tailor-made solutions for industrial customers. And Solar Spring is an expert for membrane distillation and treatment of wastewater in industry. Let me start with this beautiful photos, one of my favorite photos of planet Earth and the problem we are facing now. You know, this is not new to you, but our carbon emissions are rising in the last decade, in the last century. And also, what is not so well known is that the global freshwater use is also rising, and they're rising basically simultaneously. And this is causing a huge problem. And we have to it has to be clear that 50% of all emissions are caused by burning of fossil fuel for the generation of thermal energy, of heat. Most of the people think if we have some renewable electricity from PV or wind or hydropower, we have solved the issue. But there are millions of fossil-fired boilers out there in industry that are firing fossil fuel to generate heat. And this is the problem we are facing, and we have to find a solution for that problem. 30% of all emissions are caused by industry alone. And what's also interesting and not known by a lot of people is that about 80% of all industries that use heat in their production line also use water. And you already realize that this is exactly matching the structure of our holding with its two subsidiaries. But let's have a look at industrial heat demand. These are huge figures. So you see here, the biggest consumer is the chemical industry, food and beverage industry, machinery, mining. And these figures there are exajoule, and these are gigantic dimensions. So it's a market volume that you can only dream of, and it's a lot of work to be done. This is a slide that you might also have seen earlier in one of my presentations, but it's so important that I decided to include it again. We have to be aware that this industrial growth that is predicted to happen over the next 2-3 decades is not going to happen in Europe, not in Sweden, not in Germany, not in the OECD countries. It's going to happen in the so-called emerging markets, countries like India, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, China. And most of these countries are in sunny regions of our planet. So This brings us to the topic solar process heat, or this is continuing the topic of solar process heat and the business model of Industrial Solar GmbH. The company is an expert for solar process heat system. What you see here is a so-called funnel collector system. It's installed in Jordan on the rooftop of a factory, of a tobacco factory. And this system generates steam with pressures up to 23 bars and is providing heat for the industrial process, but the steam is also being used for an absorption chiller and partly converted to cold. We have rather early started to understand the demand of our industrial customers, and we have broadened our portfolio of services at Industrial Solar. And nowadays we are offering solutions based on a very broad technology portfolio and also consultancy services. You see here, we are offering consultancy for CO2 reduction, energy efficiency. We offer engineering services for district and process heating, but also for cooling and steam generation. We offer power generation with photovoltaics, especially PV carports are in our interest lately. And we are coming from heating, cooling, and this also includes heat pumps or absorption chillers or storages. And this portfolio now is basically complemented with the know-how of Solar Spring. They are experts in water treatment, so they can recover valuable resources from water or clean water for human consumption or also for industrial processes. So again, Clean Industry Solutions is an investment company. It's not active. It does not offer services and solutions, but it basically owns two subsidiaries that are active in the market. Both subsidiaries are currently not active in Sweden. This is causing some misperception. Some shareholders think, why are we not in Sweden active on the market? But this is easily explained with the situation that Clean Industry Solutions is an investment company. In the last presentations I made, I was mainly focusing always on Industrial Solar. This is basically the nest where I'm coming from. I'm a solar guy since almost 30 years. And therefore, I want to talk today more about Solar Spring, the newly acquired subsidiary, who is focusing on water treatment. So they're expert, as already said, for membrane technologies. They are not newly founded. They were already founded in 2009. They're also a spin-off from this large Fraunhofer Institute for Solar Energy Systems. And they are expert and a pioneer in the commercialization of membrane distillation. They have a very highly skilled team of scientists and engineers and marketing experts. Their core technology is the so-called membrane distillation. If you have an outdoor jacket with a Gore-Tex or Sympatex membrane, this is basically it. It's a thermally driven process. You have a semi-permeable membrane. You're heating the feed solution with the interesting contents or components to a temperature between 60 and 90 degrees C. And then the vapor basically goes through the semi-permeable membrane. And on the other side, you have a condensation surface, which is cooled by a coolant solution. And there you have the clean water. What are the advantages of this technology? You can integrate such systems in waste heat networks, so you can recycle heat in processes. You're not generating any additional CO2. Solar Spring is offering turnkey solutions. The solutions are modular. They're using Siemens technology. You can vary the flow rate of the system, so you can do a dynamic operation. And they're completely made of one material. They fully consist of polymers. And they can work up to the saturation point, which is kind of special. You cannot do this, for example, with reverse osmosis. Some examples of projects that Solar Spring is working on. Here's a project named Brine Mine. That's a project in Chile. Here they are recovering rare components with a very innovative process chain. And the membrane distillation is basically the final step for the concentration. And I have a a graphic here where it's a bit better to understand and better to explain. So there's a geothermal brine source with a rather high temperature of around 200 degrees C, and they're taking heat from this brine source in a range between 100 and 200 degrees C and generate electricity. And this electricity is actually used to drive a reverse osmosis process, which needs a pressure difference, which needs pumps that need electricity. And on a lower temperature level, they again extract heat between 60 and 90 degrees C, and this heat is then used for the membrane distillation. So you can see with the thermal energy from this geothermal brine source, they can basically operate the whole process. And at the end, they can recover components like lithium, rubidium, cesium, and others, which are very valuable. Here are some photos of this system. On the left-hand side, you see the pre-treatment, the band filter for the continuous precipitate extraction. And on the right-hand side, you see such a membrane distillation stack for the post-concentration. Another project with another technology, that's ultrafiltration. Solar Spring has realized several projects in Africa for potable water for human consumption, safe drinking water. And these projects were co-financed by Siemens, by the Siemens Foundation, and also by the European Union. And the technology was from Solar Spring, and they were locally implemented by the company V2, or the organization V2. They were close to Lake Victoria, where they provide clean water for the population. Here is a photo of this water station, and another photo also at Lake Victoria, but on the western side, also with a water station with technology from Solar Spring. Several weeks ago, we were so happy to publish a press release with a very good news. This is that Solar Spring can reduce the production cost by about 80% with a new manufacturing technology. They are reducing, which is reducing the hurdles for market entry, which will open the market to our understanding. And this new manufacturing technology also has a couple of further advantages, like it's a new sealing concept. It's much easier to exchange components if necessary. The production times are very short now, so they can produce very high volumes. And it's easier to assure the quality, and they have a very high flexibility now in production. So they are working eagerly on this new system, on this new manufacturing technology, and the rollout is in the second half of the year. What's also very positive is the situation with public funding for both subsidiaries of Clean Industry Solutions. Here you see the European R&D projects, the European funded R&D projects of Industrial Solar. We have Ship to Fair with aims at easing the market introduction of solar process heat in the agri-food sector. There we have a funding volume of 1.4 million. Friendship, almost 500,000. Innovite was a short project with 6 months duration. There we worked on the evaluation of solar steam in a contracting business model in Chile. It was a very good project. We have national funded projects. GSA Develop is also about contracting for solar process heat and industry in Jordan. Sunbelt Chiller is a new absorption chiller technology where we don't need a cooling tower. And Modulus is about optimization of the balance of plant, the periphery of the collector, modularizing it, standardizing it, bringing down the costs for process heat systems. Solar Spring has also 4 national funded R&D projects. The before mentioned brine mine. Ammonium MD is a project working on extraction of harmful components in wastewater cleaning systems. Serpic, Hasimem, so I cannot explain all of them, we're running out of time. But you see both subsidiaries of Clean Industry Solutions do have a total of 10 funded projects. This is showing the quality of our work and the relevance of our solutions and technologies that we're working on. The pandemic had a rather strong impact on our sales. I mean, we are specialists for process heat. We are targeting emerging markets. We are active in Latin America and Jordan. And with the pandemic, our sales activities came to a very sudden halt. And we had to come up with adaptation of the business model. We are now working more in the regional market and the home market. And what you see here on this slide is a poll that was made by Solarico, Irena, and Solar Payback. And basically, it demonstrates the impact that the pandemic had on this solar heat for industrial processes. So the orders basically were strongly, they were all delayed or held back. And only a few companies were able to realize a system in the last year. Another good news from us is that our nomination committee has nominated Finn Jonsson as chairman for Clean Industry Solutions Holding Europe AB. We have our annual general meeting scheduled for 23rd of June with postal voting. And I expect that Finn Jonsson will be elected as chairman of our board. He was formerly chairman of Volvo. He held many positions in boards and in the management of companies. And I'm looking forward to working with him very close. He's a senior mentor for me and we have a very good relationship. And I'm looking forward to learn from him. And I think he will be he will give us a very important impulse over the next months and years. Also very important now and dominating our daily routines is investigation of a potential listing on Nasdaq First North. Our company is listed on Spotlight Stock Exchange since January 2019. As mentioned before, we have a little bit of a problem as both subsidiaries are in Germany and the holding company is in Sweden. And there are many stakeholders in Germany, but also internationally, that would like to have access to our shares. And so this is a clear motivation for us to investigate this listing change to Nasdaq First North. So then it would be easier for our stakeholders to acquire those shares, but it's also expected that the liquidity in the share would increase. So let me come to the summary outlook. Finn Jonsson nominated as chairman of Clean Industry Solutions. This is really motivating. Listing on Nasdaq First North under investigation, very important step for the company. The multinationals are coming back. Most of the multinationals had made an investment freeze at the beginning of the pandemic because they didn't know what's going to happen now with COVID-19. And all the projects were delayed. And this is now very clearly changing. They're all coming back to us. And we have a lot of communication with a lot of multinationals that we know since many years. We have as many public funded R&D projects as never before. This is proving the relevance and the quality of our work. And we have this new production technology at Solar Spring for the membrane distillation modules that brings down the cost by 80%, which is going to open the market. And we do see a light at the end of the pandemic tunnel. So I would recommend to fasten a seatbelt. We are optimistic looking in the future and hope that we can really contribute something against climate change and making industry cleaner and greener all over the world. Thank you very much. That's one visual from our marketing campaign, Don't Be Fossil Fool. This is probably the most aggressive visual, but we got a lot of compliments for it. And I think climate change is polarizing society. And there is now some movement also in industry. And I'm looking forward that this movement continues. And I'm looking forward that this company grows. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So greener and cleaner, that's absolutely the way to go. I am fastening my seatbelt right now. Also, I would like to ask you, Christian, you told us about Finn Jonsson as probably the new chairman of the board. So what could he concretely bring in from his years at Volvo and so on that could strengthen you?
Yeah. I mean, from my conversations I had with him, he has such a vast experience. I mean, I'm basically a greenhorn compared to him. I'm 53 years old now. I'm in solar energy since 30 years, but he's definitely one generation above me. He has worked for so many multinationals, and I'm so happy to learn from him. So he has also an excellent network. I mean, we are addressing multinational companies that are consuming a lot of fossil energy. And I think he's just perfect for us as a chairman. So I'm really looking forward to that. And last but not least, he was also, I think, working for Guinness Beer. And I was born and raised in Bavaria, where beer is not alcoholic beverage, it's food. So
What a
I think we're going
bonus.
to have some really nice conversations over a beer.
What a lovely bonus. We're looking forward to the creativity that are going to come from these meetings.
Definitely.
So, but could you be relevant to any type of industry, basically, or?
Pardon?
Could you be relevant to any type of industry?
What could you be
I
relevant?
mean, how wide would your span be? To which industry could you be relevant? How big is your
Basically,
span?
all industries. This is the amazing. This was the slide I showed. Industry is responsible for like a huge amount of energy. I mean, it's like emissions are 30% of the world's emission are caused of humans' emissions are caused by industry. And if you look at daily products, is it tires for cars, they need heat for vulcanization, everything, all kind of food that comes in cans or glasses. So if you look around in your home, in your house, in your apartment, and you go around and you think what needs heat for the production, you will find out that most of the products, besides fresh vegetables and fruits, need heat. I mean, one of the mostly stressed examples is beer again. I mean, everybody understands that for a brewery, you need a lot of heat. So we are in touch with the most important breweries since many years. And I think now after the pandemic, we're getting very close to some projects with some breweries, but also so many other examples. Chemical industry is the largest one, textile industry. Everything needs process heat, and a lot of them need water. For example, textile industry is known as one of the worst polluters of water. They are dyeing textiles, and they have to fix the color in the textiles with heat. So they are our perfect target. With the technology of industrial solar and solar spring, we have the perfect solution for them.
And now with these two companies, are you the one-stop shop that you want to be, or do you want more competences? Or do you want to bring more offers in your company?
This is definitely a way to go. We want to foster our holistic approach. We want to offer not a technology, so we are not trying to sell a product to a customer. We want to develop the best solution for the customer. And I could imagine that there are also companies out there that would match with the two subsidiaries that are now currently owned by Clean Industry Solutions. And I can imagine that there will be further companies joining this holding in the future.
What would the criteria be then? What are you looking for?
Very innovative technology that makes industry cleaner and greener, and that is needed. And yeah, I think we have to look in detail. It's hard to give generic criteria, but definitely we have to focus industry, not private customers. And we want to tackle the most urgent problems of industry, which is currently energy, water, and we have to see what else is our customers need.
We have another question from a viewer. It's a very classic investor question, you could say, which is, when will you reach break even?
This is when you are a small company and you're dealing with large projects, it's very difficult to make statistics. I mean, our company has a longer history, and we already had reached break even like 10 years ago with a turnover of 1.3 million euro. We had a little profit at the end of the year. So if we have 2 or 3 larger projects, we can reach break even. but it's very tedious to do statistics if you are a small company and you're handling project volumes in a range of a couple of million euro.
Yeah. Okay. Also, you have this portfolio now of, is it 10 publicly funded projects you showed us? So how is this building your strength as a company?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, it's a big success for us. I mean, we were writing proposals over the last years and seeing that those proposals are being valued and accepted by institutions in Europe and Germany is really a motivation for our team. It is really a proof of the quality of our work. And of course, I mean, we're talking here about funds of between 2 and 3 million euro that are being injected in the company. And all those funded R&D projects, they are all addressing important questions, important tasks that we have to accomplish that will bring the company forward, that will help us. So I think it's those funded projects have a significant financial effect and have a significant effect of the development or on the development of our turnkey solutions for our industrial customers.
So lots of opportunities, but also just shortly, what would be your biggest risks going forward?
That the pandemic continues. I mean, we're really afraid that mutants like the Delta variant from India are swapping over to Europe or to our target markets, and that we cannot travel, and that the multinationals are not investing in nice to have solutions that we still are. I mean, we need a higher price for carbon emissions. We need a higher price per ton of carbon dioxide. And we have to travel again. We have to meet our customers again. And those customers are not typically sitting in front of our door, but they are in emerging markets like in the Middle East or Latin America. We have to visit our partners. So this is the most dangerous risk, that the pandemic continues and that the carbon price stays too low for too long.
Well, as you said, let's aim for the light at the end of the tunnel, and also let's increase the speed for a greener and cleaner industry.
Yes,
so thank you so much for
so.
this, Christian, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.